Hello and welcome back to Abundant Universe. Uh, so today we are going to begin to get deeper into this journey of the six laws. So we're going to dive deeper into understanding about the six laws which we discussed in the last video. Okay, so to start, we'll start with the first and the most fundamental principle in this mind power journey. Okay. And the first law is um, that thoughts are real forces. So that's law number one. Okay. And that's the law that we are going to focus on in this video. Okay. So remember last video, okay, I mentioned that there are six laws that govern how we think and that control, um, you know, the mind. And as a result, those laws also determine and shape the life that we live. Okay. So because of that, I thought to myself that it's important to kind of give each of these laws, its own time to discuss it so that we can get to understand. The reason I'm doing that is because, this is new information that we are getting. Okay. Why? Because this information that I'm bringing to you, it's not taught in schools, and you know uh, they don't teach it. It's not like available. Our parents, didn't teach these things to us. Okay. Simply because it's that's the nature of things. When I came across this information, I also asked those questions: that why is this information not taught in schools? Because you will understand and you will agree with me if you keep coming to this channel that the information that I'm sharing, this is very important information, because it empowers you. It helps you to know who you are, to know your full potential. So anyways, uh that's the law we're going to start with. Okay. And that's law number one, which is thoughts are real forces. Now, you will notice that throughout this program, I will be repeating myself in a number of ways, and that is deliberate. Okay. I do it because I know there is power in repetition. Okay. These are new concepts, and we learn through repetition. Okay. Anyway, so let's move on. So to remember, the first law of the mind is that thoughts are real forces. Okay. Now, what does that even mean when I say thoughts are real forces? What does that mean? Right. Now, okay, so basically what I'm trying to say, or what this means, is that thoughts are forces, and because they are forces, they have power in them, and they've got power to do things. Okay. A thought is not just, it's not like a meaningless little nothing, because you see, like, we've never been taught to really understand what these things are, right? But thoughts are actually very powerful forces. In fact, they are the most powerful forces in this entire universe, right? So again, those type of concepts, as I said, I don't expect you to understand this at your first exposure, like right now. But I believe that if you keep coming to this channel, right, you will understand what we're trying to do, right? So anyway, again, to understand that thoughts are real forces, so they have power to do things. A simple illustration of this that I can just think is, if you if you can accept that most things that we use every day, they started in someone's mind, just one person. Take, for example, the mobile phone, right? So this is an invention that started with somebody. If you take a car, right, that's Henry Ford, right? One person who thought, okay, let me do this, right? Now, if you keep going through this kind of thinking, you will find that, there is so many things that have come as a result of one person thinking. If we come to businesses, you will see that it starts with a one person. We'll take like the common examples. Say Facebook, right? That's Mark Zuckerberg, right? Starts. They say he was like in his in college, you know, and he was just thinking, and he came up with this. I mean, you think of Amazon again. It starts with one person, Jeff Bezos. He started just by a simple website selling books, and so that's what I'm trying to say, that a thought has power. Because, and if you accept that and you start looking at your own life, you will see that most things are a result of thoughts that you have, you know believed in, or you know acted upon, right? For example, when you decide to buy, say, a car, it's a thought. That's oh, okay, maybe I think I need to buy a car. And you keep thinking like that, you start looking for a car, and a car. And this happens in so many areas of your life, that it's this thought that you are thinking that result in the things that happen to you. And these thoughts affect you in ways that you don't even know. The way you choose your career, the way you choose your partner, your wife, or all those things, they are thoughts that have been acted upon and lead to the situation that you are in. Okay. Well, I don't know. I'm just trying to try to come up with a way to get you to understand how these things happen. But you know, um, as I said, gradually you will understand what I am trying to bring to you. Right. So, okay, very good. So to understand that, thoughts, these things that we are thinking every day, right? They are not meaningless little nothings. They are very, very powerful, uh, substances. Okay. So, most people think of thoughts as like invisible, fleeting, just mental chatter, basically, right? And I mean, how can you think otherwise? So because we never pay attention, so you just think, in fact, most people don't even think, or even, I don't think if people even know that they think, okay, because it's something that's so passive, right? So nobody pays attention to it, right? But science and spiritual traditions, right? They tell us something, far more profound, right? Uh, that every thought that you think carries energy. Okay, that every thought is like a ripple in the field of your consciousness. From a scientific point, it's like a wave that radiates beyond your mind and it influences your mood, your body, your decisions, and even your external reality. Okay. For example, have you noticed in your everyday life just one thought. So it could be a worry, a memory, or or something you are hoping for. How this can instantly, shift how you feel. Okay, just a thought. You think of maybe something that worries you. It can shift your mood or a past experience. Just by thinking about it, it can change your mood. Okay, now we know we all have experienced that. And that's not random, okay? That is energy in motion, okay? That is energy in motion. And that's why you can feel a shift of mood through just thinking about a thought comes and just, reminds you of something that happened, say, whatever time ago, and your whole mood changes, okay? So, when you constantly think fearful, negative thoughts, they become patterns, right? I'll repeat that. When you constantly think fearful, negative thoughts, they become patterns. Now, these patterns become habits, and these habits then shape your reality. Okay? Something to take note of. Now, um, let's try to ground this in something more tangible, right? So, from modern science shows us that our thoughts are real electrical impulses in the brain. Okay, so when you think a thought, neurons fire, releasing chemicals that impact your emotions and your body. So when you think happy thoughts, your brain releases dopamine and a chemical called serotonin. When you think fearful or angry thoughts, you trigger stress hormones like cortisol, right? That's from a scientific point. But beyond the biology and science, right? Ancient wisdom teaches us that thoughts extend beyond the brain, that they create a frequency, an energetic field that interacts with the world around us. Now, I know these are deep concepts, okay? But we can use analogies, just like, radio waves, like radio waves, you can't see like radio waves, you can't see radio waves, right? So same in a similar fashion, your thoughts are constantly broadcasting, just like radio waves. Radio waves, they broadcast waves that carry, sound waves to us. The same way is that your thoughts, they are constantly broadcasting. And just like a magnet, your thoughts will draw to you experiences, people, and outcomes that match your internal state, right? A point to note down, right? We'll move on, okay? Um, Some of these things I suggest, if you are following and if you want to get benefit from this program, I suggest you get a notebook and you take notes uh, as we go along. Simply because taking notes helps you, it shows you're serious, and it prepares your mind to accept and to understand quickly. When you write, the mind remembers. Okay. So, what does this mean for your daily life, right? Now, it means that you are not a passive observer of your world, right? I'll repeat. This means that you are not a passive observer of your world. Instead, you are a creator of it. You are the creator of your life. The fact that your thoughts are real forces means that you are not meant to merely observe things that are going on. You because your thoughts are they are creative substances, right? So and that's where the power to create comes from, because thoughts are real forces. That's why you've heard so many times, maybe you've read it, but you see, it's always said that humans are creative um, beings, right? That we've got this creative power within us. Now, that creative power does not come from your hand, from your legs. It comes. The creativeness is inside your mind, and the part that is creative is your ability to think. That's why you can think yourself out of any situation. You can think yourself out of, negative substances, negative circumstances into positive circumstances. In other words, you can think yourself out of poverty to abundance, right? You can think yourself out of or misery to happiness. Uh, why? Because these things are states of mind, right? Happiness is a state of mind, okay? And so is, um, feeling, worrisome and all that. That's a state of mind. And you can move between these states through your thoughts, okay? I see this is going to be a bit longer, but I don't mind, because that's the only way, right? So what also this means is that your current circumstances are not just the result of action, but of repeated thought, right? Of course, our actions also impact how we live, but from now on, you understand that you are where you are because of how you have been thinking. Okay, so that that is a call to become more responsible of your thoughts, because we need to take responsibility of how we think. Okay, and certain thoughts can bring us happiness, success, health. Certain thoughts can bring us trouble, misery, and jealousy, envy. It's all in your thoughts. Okay, so that's what we're trying to say. We're trying to establish. So yeah, to take responsibility. So in other words, if you tell yourself over and over again that I'm not good enough, this won't work, I'll never succeed, uh, what will happen is that your mind will eventually believe what you say to it. Okay. And your life will then start reflecting the very things that you say to yourself. That's another part of how the mind works. The mind is there to prove that what you say is correct. The thing with the mind, it really does not, um, it doesn't, it doesn't kind of, it's not going to argue with you. It will simply do what you tell it, right? You believe life is good, you will start seeing more good in your life, because that's part of what the mind does, right? The mind will always work to prove whatever you say to yourself. Okay, you believe life is hard and tough and this and that, the mind will quickly work towards um, delivering that to you. Yes, okay, it is. That's how it works, you know. Unfortunately, that's how it works, right? Um, because it's that part of the mind called the subconscious mind, which is the most powerful part of your of of who you are actually. And that part is the part that is like the womb. It will just give birth to whatever you give to it. And that's why in the other video I talked about the the analogy of your mind being like a garden, that if you plant any seed in this garden or in your mind, it will take root and it will bear fruit. Okay, so that's the thing. And I did mention in that video that the seeds in this instance are the thoughts. If you just try and relate to that analogy, you will quickly understand how your thoughts are like. Because every thought is like a seed. And every time you repeat that thought, it's like you are watering it, you are, you know, giving it more energy, you know. So that's how it works. Okay. Take from now on, you need to start paying attention to your thoughts, because they are not meaningless little nothings. Your thoughts are creative substances and they are actually creating your life right now. And to those who dwell on negative thoughts, I would like to say, um, you need to really, really start taking this thing more seriously, because every time you think negative, you are just creating a negative life for you, for yourself. Think positive, because then that's how you can create good things for yourself. Okay. Okay. I don't know. I'm trying to simplify this, but you know, I'm hoping that you guys you get to understand this. So at the same time, if you shift if you shift or change your inner thinking, right? Uh, Eventually, if you think if you shift, if you change, you know, how you think, right, and you start thinking like, you know, I'm growing, I am worthy, I am open to abundance. Life is good. You know, you start believing, you know, things that are positive. You know, I'm every day I'm getting better and better, then what will happen is you will start aligning with a higher frequency, and life will respond um, to that. Funny as it sounds, that's what life is all about. And and the good thing about what I'm saying, these are things that I don't. Number one, I don't expect you to understand it or to believe it, and that's not what I'm looking for. I want you to try these things for yourself, and you know, if and see, and if you start, number one, observing your own thoughts, you will see that there is an internal conversation that's going on inside you, right? There is a voice that's kind of tells you what to do, okay? But it's a process, and it's good to know what's going on, because if you think that your thoughts don't matter and your thoughts are just meaningless little nothing, I'm telling you, you are just gonna be like a puppet, because your own mind will be just taking advantage of that. See, the thing is, you need to take charge of your mind, because if you don't do that, like I said in the other video, this mind will start to feed itself, and it will feed itself from the environment, from the negativity around you, and then you just end up a negative person. You have to consciously insert thoughts into your mind. Your mind needs to know what you want to achieve in life, because if you don't, then mind will take you anywhere it wants, and that's not a very good place to be. Okay, so moving on. So I'm not saying it's about being positive, or it's not really about positive thinking. What it's about conscious awareness, right? And remember, you become what you consistently think about. All right. So to end this, and trust me, I didn't realize this is gonna be a longer one, but I don't mind, because if that's the way this message can reach you, or can if you are going to if it's going to take time for people to understand, we just have to do it that way, right? So I've got a simple practice for you that you can do to start um to start harnessing your own mind. Okay, so the practice is like, what you simply do is, every day, suddenly and unexpectedly, just stop what you're doing and observe your thoughts any time of day, especially when you are feeling low or anxious. Just stop and just ask yourself, or just when you just stop and focus on what you are thinking, you will see, sometimes you can actually see the thought that's causing you the negativity. Just taking a break, and just stopping, suddenly, and just say, okay, what am I thinking? You will see the thoughts that I'm talking about. And when you do that, either write them down, or you can just in your phone on a notepad, or just write down what it is, and you can see what's happening, whether these thoughts is empowering you, or whether it's draining you, right? Then you can even ask, is this thought helping me to create the life that I want? Because you will have identified the thought in action. Then, if it's not, then you can consciously replace it with something else, that you are looking for. And from now on, and when you start doing this, you then become the thinker of your thoughts, because you want to be the thinker of your thoughts, right? Not the victim of your thoughts. And if you only because you see, like, to understand what are these things, thoughts, easily we can just say thoughts are, for example, a worry. When you are worried, things that make you worry, those things are called thoughts. Okay. The very same things that make you happy, they are happy thoughts, right? So those are the things I want you to start looking for and identifying. So the task is to identify a thought in just two categories. Is it a negative thought? Is it a positive thought? So once you are able to see and identify these thoughts within your own mind, then you can make a decision of the life you want. Because then you can say, are you going to entertain a negative thought, knowing very well it's going to bring a lot of negativity? Then, of course, you will then have the desire to, work and take charge of your mind. Okay, so that's the end of the video. Okay, so to remember that every thought is a force, that every thought is a seed, and that what you plant today will grow into tomorrow's reality. So choose wisely. Nurture thoughts that elevate you. And you can actually watch the universe reflect your inner transformation. If you start doing those things, you will very quickly, I'm not talking of months or years, no, very quickly you will start seeing changes within you. Just when you start becoming aware of the thoughts that are going on in your head, that gives you a lot of power to take charge of your life. Okay? Right. So if this message spoke to you, right, be sure to be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video. And stay tuned. In the next episode, we'll explore the second law, law number 2, which is the law of transmission. And this law is about how your mind acts as a powerful sending and receiving station of thought. Okay? So, with that, until then, keep growing your abundant universe, right? So, I will see you next time when I come with another video on law number 2. Again, like, subscribe, and share this video. And like, subscribe, and share this video. And I will see you when I come with law number 2. Right. Thank you very much. That's the end.